Hello, my name is Matthew Deutsch, and I'm a professional business plan writer. I've been developing business plans over the past 20 years, and today we're going to talk about developing a business plan specific for a restaurant. Restaurants are somewhat complex businesses to operate, mainly because you have so many inputs and so many different aspects of operation that it is complicated to put together a comprehensive document that succinctly and properly showcases each aspect of operation. The business plans that I write are always 9 chapters long, and they have 5 appendices in the back. For the purposes of this video, I'm just going to focus on the primary center of the plan, the 9 chapters. The appendices consist of the SWOT analysis, the risk analysis, and then there's an expanded profit and loss and cash flow analysis on a monthly and quarterly basis. So for the purpose of this, I'm going to stick with just the first 9 chapters. It always starts with the executive summary, and even though this is the first chapter, this should always be written last, primarily because this acts as a full roadmap for the rest of the business plan. Nearly all business plans that I write are specific for raising capital. So why I always find it best to do the executive summary last is that you'll have already completed the plan, and then you can on a very succinct basis, put in a little discussion about each chapter. In the second section of the business plan, I always focus on the financing. And this is the amount of money that you need to secure in order to start the restaurant, whether it's an SBA loan, a conventional business loan, line of credit, private investment, or if you're fully self-financing the business, this should still go in there. The first part of this is always segmenting out the use of the funds. Who's going to own the business? If you're working with an investor, what percentage they're going to provide. Exit strategies in terms of if you decide to retire or relocate, how will the business be either sold or transitioned to ownership, let's say from your staff. These are all the things that are included in the second section of the plan. Chapter 3 is the operations. This outlines the type of fare that you're providing, beverages, whether or not you're going to be serving alcohol, and if so, having the proper licensure in place to do so. This also addresses employee matters, as well as other just general protocols about the operation of the business. Chapter 4 is a bit of, I call, overview of the organization. This is a short chapter. Usually it's only one to 2 pages. This primarily focuses on the pedigree of the business, where it's registered, the type of corporate entity it is, mission statement, vision statement, as well as the biography of either the founder or important members of the management team. Chapter 5 is the market and industry analysis. I always break this down into 4 sections. The first section being an overview of the economy, the current state of the economy, interest rates, whether we're in a recession or whether there's a substantial amount of growth, and how any potential issues with the economy may impact your restaurant. Because restaurants generate their income as a result of people's discretionary income, certainly an economic recession can impact sales. This is something that I always discuss in this section of the plan. Right under that is the industry analysis. And this is pretty broad range. This focuses on the number of restaurants within the United States or any other country that you may be operating in, total annual revenue of all restaurants and food service businesses, number of employees. I also included analysis based on inflation, GDP, consumer spending, and consumer spending growth in regards to how that can have either a positive or negative impact on the total industry revenues. The third part of this is the demographic profile and target market analysis. Here, a thorough discussion about the local market that you're operating in is included. Median household income, amount of capital spent, amount of money spent outside of the home on food purchases at restaurants, as well as taking a look at population density, wealth, which I usually take a look at through the median home value, and other important statistics such as education ranges as well as income ranges within that market. Under that, then the final part of the market analysis is the competitive analysis. Here I focus, let's say you're a barbecue restaurant, then I will take a look at every single barbecue restaurant that operates within usually a 10 to 15 mile radius of the planned location. This includes discussing their strengths, their weaknesses, their reviews. Most recently, I did a business plan and an individual wanted to serve a very specific type of cuisine, and this was in a major city, or reasonably, within the target market, and there was a Michelin star restaurant that was serving the exact same cuisine. So ultimately, they decided to locate the business elsewhere, which is why it's always good to have a well-written plan that's been very thoroughly researched so you can know of these matters before you get started. After the industry analysis, I focus on the keys of to how the business will grow once profitability is achieved, whether it's establishing new locations, providing catering, having on-site events, all of those things, as a potential avenue of growth for a restaurant. The next chapter is the marketing plan. This is outside of the financial plan. I always view the marketing plan as the second most important section. If you don't know how to properly market your restaurant or food service business, people aren't going to come. In here, I always discuss social media strategies, potential use of social media influencers, using direct mail, conducting direct outreach, all the things that would be normally associated with marketing a restaurant or food service business. I also include a number of key performance indicators and metrics that show how the marketing budget is being allocated and which channels are most likely to produce the most return on investment. Chapter 8 is the organizational plan. This focuses on the staff you're going to have, you as the owner, whether you're going to have a general manager, an assistant manager, front of house staff, back of house staff, any type of specialized employees that you may have. Most recently, I did a business plan for a higher end restaurant, and they employed a mixologist because one of their key focuses was having a number of signature cocktails. So anything of this nature is going to be included in this section. From there, then there's the financial plan. And again, the most important part of the business plan as a whole. The three primary financial statements that are going to be included are the profit and loss statement, cash flow analysis, and balance sheet. If you've seen any of my other videos, I always mention the same thing. Profit and loss statement is pretty straightforward. If you can add and subtract, you can make a profit and loss statement. Revenue, when I do the revenue, I always segment out food and beverages, or if you're doing anything like event hosting or catering, I always show each one individually. That way the cost of goods sold can be a little bit more clearly understood. In regards to operating costs, payroll, rent, utilities, equipment maintenance, all of the things that would be normally associated with a restaurant are included there. As well as interest. If you're obtaining a business loan or line of credit to start the restaurant, interest is always put on there as well. From there is the cash flow analysis. And this one is, if you don't have a huge familiarity with financial statements, this one is a little bit confusing, and I've put a video down below that I've created that goes in depth regarding how all these different financial statements work. Cash flow analysis looks similar to a profit and loss statement, but it is different. Here, the actual cash that's coming in and out of the business is being mapped. It always starts with the cash from operations, which is the net income plus depreciation. Any repayment of principal for any business loan is going to be shown. Asset purchases, not only for the startup, but through the life of the business, as well as any profit distribution that's occurring. And it also shows the cash balance on a yearly basis. I always do this on a 5-year basis. Some people say, the first 3 years are the most important. I do 5 years as a standard, just for good measure in any plan that I write. From there is the balance sheet. This is also a little bit more straightforward than the cash flow analysis. You have assets, liabilities, and equity. In regards to assets, this would consist of cash, equipment, as well as amortizable costs such as the location build out. Liabilities, if you acquire a business loan or again a line of credit, this would be shown on the liabilities line. And equity is basically what you or what your financial partners have contributed and how that grows. As an example of how equity can grow in the business, as you pay down the loan, that equity amount will go up. Example that I frequently give is, let's say you buy a $500,000 home and you put $200,000 down and you borrow $300,000. $200,000 would be your equity. Let's say a year goes by and there's a huge demand for property in your area. Let's say the house appreciates to $750,000. Well, now your equity has increased to $450,000 plus whatever you've paid down in the mortgage. And that's essentially how it works. If you have any questions, I know this was somewhat of a quick video. If you have any questions, certainly feel free to reach out at any time. Again, I'm a professional business plan writer. My business also develops full-scale interactive and static pitch decks. The name of the company is Deutsch and Thomas, but we're actually going through a bit of a rebranding. After 20 years, it's time to liven things up a bit. So our new website is humanintelligencebusinessplans.com. We have a number of samples of food service businesses on the site, so you can take a look. That's sort of the look and feel of our work. If you are in need of a business plan, or if you're struggling with one that you've already started on your own, please feel free to reach out anytime. I'm more than happy just to take a look at it. Consultations are completely free. And again, we can be reached at any time. Thank you very much for taking a look. Take care.